Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Happy almost end of the year. Let me get into the comment section here and see who all do we have today. See a few folks joining us. Need to turn my system over here on. Get to live. Welcome, everyone. How are the holidays going? I don't know about you all, but I am tired, I think is the right word. I always forget, and you all know that I've got a full-time job. I always forget how much work it takes to get to the end of the year, and I've got a vacation coming up, how much effort it takes to get into that mode. And to be able to afford to go on vacation and enjoy the holidays, you kind of got to the ringer to make it happen. Lots of work. All right, now some comments are starting to come through. Hey, everybody. Hey there, Mimi. I caught the last live stream of the year. It is the last live stream of the year. So I am off of ships right now. So I don't have another ship until January, which is kind of crazy. I started going on land trips. I think I did the first one last year. I went on some of the longer sailings around South America, as well as going around Asia on Celebrity, that is. Excuse me. And I'm just running out of places I can go on cruise ships. And so I want to take a good chunk of time at the end of the year here because I can get, a few weeks off from work and go explore. And so I'm heading over to India and Nepal on Friday evening. So super excited. So if anybody from India is out there or Nepal, I'm going to be in your neighborhood. Hey, Tom, welcome. Hanging with the hordes, welcome. Hey, guys. Hey, Jen, who is in or on her way to Miami, I think. She's getting on a cruise on Friday or Saturday. So excited for Jen to be in town. It's 60 degrees in Boston, Kevin. That's a lot. I think what is it here in Miami? We're only at 77 here. So that's not horrible at all. But I have heard from my fellow colleagues in New York that the weather has been atrocious up and down the East Coast. Even the folks in North Carolina that I work with have had a lot of rain, it seems. So hope that gets straightened out for you all. It looked like it was rain here, but it hasn't done anything yet. Thank you. I think, my biggest concern is just they call it Delhi belly. So this is the first place I've gone to where I've actually been a little on the anxious side of picking up some kind of bacteria or infection while I'm there. Everything else I've been super easy with. But this one I go, there's a good chance I might get sick on this trip. So wish me luck. And hopefully I'll come back and have great news. And I will try to make a video on the trip. It won't be like a series or anything. I'll probably just do one video to give you all an overview of what I did, similar to how I did it in the last year, things that I've done. Actually, I took the summer off video where I said, hey, here's what I did over the summer. That's what I'll hopefully try to do. Hey, David, welcome back. Ken, you're on a live. Well done. Glad to have you here. And Jen, I am very glad to hear that you're able to stream this in the air. I mean, it's fascinating to me how far along messaging and streaming services have come in flight. I mean, there's a lot of them that still don't offer it unless you have GoGo in flight, or like on Delta, I get it complimentary because I have status there. But it's amazing how far it's come from when we used to just have to sit in the chair and read our paper books, and now I message with friends. You can stream YouTube and I read on my Kindle. It's a very different experience. Hey, Alan with a Y, welcome back. Scott, welcome. All right, so I think I'm caught up with everybody in the chat who all's here. If you haven't already, press the thumbs up button for me. I'm going to try to do a better job of remembering to remind you all of that because I forget, quite frankly. But it does a huge favor if you can just do that. And hey, Janet from the Palm Coast, welcome. So one of the things I wanted to chat through today, and of course I'll always take you all's questions as they come up, and I'll be monitoring the screen. But I saw the program for Virgin Voyages Unlimited sailing. And so wanted to talk with you all about, what do you think? I mean, it was what, 152,000? I haven't researched it that terribly much. But I did the high level math on it, and it comes out to around $2,100, $2,300 for a 7-night cruise. So if you look at the 52 weeks, it's a full year of sailing on Virgin Voyages anywhere in the world. And it was like 150 some $1,000, which is significant. I cruise a lot cheaper than that, and I'm out there a lot. So I think it was that. Maybe I should Google this real quick just to make sure I'm not giving you all. That is not what I wanted. I don't want the spa pass. Year-long annual pass. Let's actually look at their website. I can actually share this with you all. Let's see how fancy I can get on this thing. All right, so this is not me advertising, because I'm going to say why I'm not going to do this, but hopefully you can see the screen now, maybe. Let me know in the comments if you can see the screen share that I just put up there. Actually, it's telling me, do I have a screen share? Whoop, there we go. Had to press another button. And let me make me smaller. So they have their entire year, so January all the way through, that you can cruise as much as you want to. Is this it? Cruise for an entire year? Yep, this is it, an annual pass. Let's see where the price is. You get all the Deep Blue extras. Probably giving you guys whiplash scrolling through here. This is why you need to come prepared to these things. Where's the price, Virgin? What is the annual pass? What does it include? Cost, $120,000. So not quite as much as I thought that it was going to be. But that still comes out to, bring up the calculator, 120 divided by 52 weeks is $2,300 per cruise. I cruise for a fraction of that. So this is also, $2,300 is assuming that you go literally every single week that you're on the ship. And I can tell you, as somebody who books a lot of cruises, you got to cancel some every now and again. It's very rare. I think Super Mario is probably one of the few that can pull it off, where he can go and truly live on a ship. But the rest of us, we got life that comes up. Things happen. You got to go back home. You got to check in on something. Somebody gets married. There's a birthday. Maybe you want to be home for Christmas. And so if you only did, let's say you took 10 weeks off throughout the entire year, and you only did 42 sailings at the same price, 120 divided by 42, that's almost $2,900 that you're spending for the weeks that you're going on Virgin. And Virgin is a higher price point. That is the first thing that you learn about Virgin when you look there, because they have everything included. Or that's what they say. I still feel like they're a little on the high side when it comes to their pricing, because they give you gratuities. They give you, you can get some coffee. They don't have a drink package, which a lot of people don't appreciate, but they will give you the Deep Blue extras over here. That's going to come with a few of those extra benefits. So you get the premium Wi-Fi, which is nice. And you get a bar tab, $100 on each of your itineraries. So if you're doing a 4-day or you're doing a 7-day, you get $100 on each of those. My favorite Deep Blue extra, you all will not be shocked at this, is the daily coffee here. That is my favorite. When I first started going on there, they didn't have that. And I was having to pay like $7-8 for one of my coffees every morning. So I am very glad to see that that is in stock. But the biggest thing that gets me when it comes to Virgin Voyages here, that I would not want to do, is you have to make reservations every single sailing. You all know that I've talked about their reservation system and how I am just not a fan of their reservation system when it comes to their food. Their food, I think, is awesome. I think it's amazing. But you got to make reservations for it. And if you want a good time, or even if you want to make it in, you've got to be all over that app. And I think that I would be so annoyed after the first 10 cruises of having to make reservations in their app that I wouldn't enjoy the process anymore. The only thing that I could hope for is if you made a ship your home ship for 6 months each, or a full year, so that you got to know all the maitre d's and they maybe do you a solid. Because nowhere in the marketing over here does it say, we're going to give you automatic 7 o'clock dinner reservations. If they did that, I would feel much better about this situation. than having to make reservations every single cruise that you go on, because it's just the biggest pain point for Virgin Voyages. Love their food. Think their food is fantastic. But the trade-off is getting in there is a pain. So what do you all think about the unlimited pass? Is this something you would be interested in? Who would want to stay on a Virgin Voyages ship for a full year? What are you thinking there? In the meantime, Pam has joined us. Hey there, Pam. I think Pam and Brent, we probably could get them on a Virgin ship for the entire year. Let's see what Ken's thinking here. Going on a cruise in a few weeks out of Miami. We're leaving on Saturday, and I am afraid the garage will be full at the port, so we are Ubering. I think that's smart. I have good friends of mine who still drive to the port, or used to, but everybody for the most part that lives, I'd say Fort Lauderdale and south, has switched over to Ubering at this point, because Ken, it does fill up. They're taking reservations. Even when I go over there, and you all know I'm one of the last people to get there. If that ship's all aboard is 3:30, I'm showing up at 3:20-ish. And I definitely see the line of cars that are trying to get into the garage, and the garage sign says it is closed. So make sure you're not falling in that. So I think take the stress out of it, Ken. If you're coming from West Palm Beach, Brightline. There's a lot of people that have a really good time with Brightline. It's easy. Give yourself an extra hour or two. Don't take the train that gets you when you want to. I took Brightline, when was it? Last month on the way back from Orlando. And the train in front of us hit either a car, a person, it hit something. And because of that, it caused over an hour delay in the train. And we were luckily stopped at a port. But the poor people that are on Carnival, you all, I don't know if you know this or not, Carnival has a really early all aboard time. Some of their ships will leave Miami at 2:30, 3 o'clock. They're pulling out. So their all aboard is like 1:30. And so they were panicking that they weren't going to make their ship. Luckily, we did start up like 10 minutes later. So there's about an hour 15-minute delay. But they hadn't planned on that. And they were genuinely concerned they were going to miss their ship. So make sure that you give yourself a little bit of time if taking Brightline to ever get to your cruise. If you're going home, you can be a little delayed. That's fine. But to the cruise ship, you don't want to miss that. Hey, Mary from Indiana. You got 21 nights coming up on Explore the Seas. Oh, Southern Caribbean. That is going to be one of my favorite itineraries you're going on. I've not done it in ages, but you're probably doing all three of the ABC islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao. Please make sure that you try some blue curacao. Make sure you get some snorkeling in. That is my absolute favorite place to go. Plenty of great pictures in Curacao. Curaçao's more my favorite, I think, because it still feels touristy, but you can get out of that super easy. So make sure that you enjoy. Hey, Lee. Oh, my pleasure, Lee. I'm always here to give as much information as I can and share all these memories with you guys. So I was just saying, you know what? I'm not on cruise ships right now. I'm off until I think it's the first weekend in January. I literally come back on Tuesday and I'm on a ship on Friday. That's going to be how my life is going to go. But I'm always glad to be able to come on here and talk with you all about, the world of cruising. So even though we can't be there all the time, we certainly can be keeping each other company and living vicariously. Brian, you would do it. No hesitations. I'm thinking of another thing. Now that I'm cruising on different lines, you all know I used to be loyal to Royal, and I think I got a video coming out on this because people have seen me the last 3 months. I've really been on Royal Caribbean almost exclusively. And people are like, Brandon, I'm surprised to see you on Royal. I thought you swore off of them. And that is not the case. I have not done that. But I am more of a free agent these days, going to other cruise lines. And, if I lock myself in for a full year, I'm not sure how I feel about that now. I kind of beat myself up a little bit, Brian, because I wish that I would have started trying other cruise lines sooner, because it helps keep it fresh. Things definitely, not that they get stale, but they just get really comfy and there's not a lot of newness to it. So I do miss that. I'm going to adjust this camera a little bit just to see if, I'm probably going to do it totally wrong, but I'm trying to bring it down some so I don't have so much space above me. Yeah, this is one of the biggest things when you leave for a year. Like you see, I'm in my house now. There was a water leak this week. And so if somebody wouldn't have been here or been checking on it, we would not have known that that was occurring. And so there are definitely things that come up, so keep all that stuff in mind. You would feel uncomfortable leaving your house unattended. You definitely have to have a house sitter, somebody to check in on it. If you have animals, I mean, that also makes it really tough to be able to do these kind of things. Lots of restrictions, but things to consider. Hey, William, welcome, sir. All right, what questions do you all have? Any tonight or anything you want to talk about? In the meantime, while you're putting some questions in there, I'll jump into, I don't think I'm gonna make a video on this. I thought that I might have enough content, but I feel like it's the year of banned items on cruise ships. Every time I turn around, there's a new cruise line banning a different product or a different kind of device. So this year I know we've banned Starlink, so you can't take a Starlink mobile. You can't take travel routers anymore. You can't take the adapters that we used to be able to take that had US outlets on them to give us more of those in our cabins. You can't take boom boxes or what are they called? The jam sets, the little round cylinder things that people take for music. Can't take any of that stuff anymore. They keep adding to the list. And so I'm curious what's going to be next. The one thing I'll say is I was kind of surprised on the Starlink that they banned it because the thing's super small. And I don't see necessarily a problem there because the only issue that I see is that you're basically not buying their Wi-Fi at that point. And that's where they were having the issue with it. But I don't see a different issue. The travel router, on the other hand, and I actually did have a company send me a travel router probably 6 months ago and asked me to review it. I went on to a few cruises with it, tried using it. It didn't even work that great. And so I politely told them that I wasn't going to be able to do the review for them because it wasn't going to be positive. Like the review is going to be, don't waste your money on this. It doesn't work on a cruise ship. So MSC had already banned it in their infrastructure. So if you try to use a travel router on MSC, it's just not going to connect. It's not going to, somehow or another, the system knows that it's there and it just shuts you out. Royal Caribbean, on the other hand, did allow me to connect it, but it turned the speed that I was able to download down by like 25%. And it made it almost unusable in the first place. So I was kind of surprised that they banned travel routers when I feel like they're doing a pretty good job of not making them functional in the first place. But more to come on that. I don't know if people are finding ways to get around it. There's always some creative people. I haven't seen Adam on here yet, but he's my technology guy on cruise ships. And he tells me that there's still ways that you can get around certain things, but I don't think that those are widespread or done at this point. So granted, I wouldn't talk about them anyway. One thing I learned a long time ago that I didn't want to do on here is coach you all on how to work a system or how to get around something. I will teach you the rules and if there's correct workarounds, but I'm not going to get in trouble for telling you how to steal the internet, basically. Granted, I don't do that either. I get it for free, luckily, so I don't have to, I'm not faced with that. But there are a few workarounds there. Hey, West Coast Cultured, welcome back. Am I doing any other West Coast cruises other than the group cruise? I am not currently. So I did have put on my radar. You all know that people ask me to go on all these different cruise lines. And Princess actually has a few 3-day weekend cruises out of Seattle that go up to Ketchikan, Alaska, and then come back down to British Victoria in Canada to drop you off. And so I've toyed with that. The cruise, because it's going to Alaska with the taxes, because they have huge amounts of taxes up there, it made it like $800 to $1,000. Plus, I'd have to get a $300 to $400 plane ticket. So I definitely am acutely feeling the pain now when people are like, Brandon, I can't just go to Florida for a weekend. And, I'm going to say the same thing for West Coast. I'll do it every now and again if something really piques my interest. But just for an Alaska cruise where I've already been, I can't see myself paying that kind of money for that when there's cruise ships right there at a fraction of the cost. So maybe one day West Coast Cultured, but right now it's just the group cruise. So speaking of group cruise, if you go down into the description of this video, you will see a link to the group cruise newsletter. I've not sent an email out recently. So one thing you don't have to worry about with signing up for this newsletter is me spamming you. I barely send emails, but I do send them when there's announcements or big things going on. I need to do a better job with that, but that is just not in my wheelhouse. I like to turn on a camera and talk. Typing out an email, and that seems like a lot of work to me, so I haven't done it a lot. But I do need to do that. We've got 2 that are on the calendar right now. The first one that is coming up, and I have learned to always look at my spreadsheet over here to tell me, is the World America is the first group cruise, non-group cruise. So book it however you want to, just show up. I'm going to be there. We're going to be all hanging out, having a good old time. As we get closer, I'll start sending out word to everybody to let me know you're going to be there. And we'll start a WhatsApp group message so that we can all meet up at certain places, hang out, see shows together, and have a really good time. So that is on May 3rd of 2025. World America is the brand new ship from MSC that I am super excited about. It's got a lot of neat videos online. So if you want to research the ship some, it's really neat. It will, if you're Royal Caribbean, it will look really similar to an Oasis class ship. That is because it is the same builder and the same model. However, it's going to have an MSC feel to it. So expect a lot more Swarovski. How do you say the crystal's name? Anyway, so you're going to have more crystals on board. You're going to have more black, a lot more white tones that will make it very much so feel like you're on an MSC ship versus like you're feeling on a Royal Caribbean ship. So I'm super excited to see how they're going to transform this floor plan basically into an MSC ship and make it theirs. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Some of the things they're coming out with sound pretty neat. So I'm excited for all that stuff. Oh, before I get to you, Jig, sorry. The other one that West Coast Culture was just talking about is we do have the Quantum of Stage, which is a proper group cruise. We've got space held on November 14th in 2025, and it has the most solo cabins on it. So that's why I chose that one, so that we can get some more solo rates. And let me know if you all are interested in that, and we can get you a quote from the group travel agent. That one you do have to book into the actual group to make it official. World America, just show up and we can have a good old time. So trying something different with that one. All right, Jig, sorry about that. I got distracted or excited with all the group cruises. Glad you were able to join us from Texas. Hope you all are having better weather than the Northeast seems to be having right now. Kevin, I'm trying to put together, you purchased all that stuff last year. Oh, the travel routers and all that stuff you might be talking about. Is that why they banned it? Because you went shopping and started bringing it on the ship? Just joking. Ken, do you go to Bayside Marketplace? Last time we were there, it was pretty empty. After our cruise, I was thinking about going. So interestingly enough, I started going to Bayside Marketplace. And for you all that don't know it, it is directly across the street from the cruise port. So when you come over the bridge from the cruise terminal, over by Royal Caribbean's headquarters, that bridge, not the one that takes you to the tunnel, it drops you off right at Bayside. So when I used to come down here, before I moved, I was doing back-to-back sailings. I would do a 3-night followed by a 4-night or something like that. And I would spend my turnaround day where the ship is changing over people. I wouldn't just hang out there. I would get off and I would go to Bayside. I'd have lunch. I'd do something. And I would walk there because it's very walkable for the terminals that are closer to the west side, not necessarily Terminal A. But I do live across the street now from the port, which means Bayside is literally across the street from me. So when I look out my window here, and you may have seen some pictures that I'll post on my Instagram account. If you don't follow me there, make sure you tune into Instagram and to Facebook. I think both of those are also linked down below. Same name, The Weekend Cruiser. But Bayside is literally across the street. Actually, Bayside Park is across the street. Bayside itself is to the left. But the place that I love there the most is Pier 57. So they've spent several $1 million reimagining and rebuilding an outdoor bar that has some food. And I've not eaten there, but I've gone with friends for my non-alcoholic drinks that I grab. And it is just beautiful. You get to sit outside. You get to enjoy the beautiful weather here in Miami that you may not get where you're from. And they're playing lively music. They have live bands going on. And the drinks are reasonably priced. It's not crazy expensive for a tourist place in Miami. What I will say I don't like, though, is the ice cream that's over at Bayside. And I'm a huge ice cream person, love it. That's my weakness. But I've gone over there a few times, and I think it's gelato, first of all. But I just don't like the flavors for whatever reason. So I would encourage you to stay away from that. They've got a ton of food as well. So if you do want to eat, you can do that. They've got some chain restaurants that will probably have more reasonably priced items. Whereas if you're sitting directly beside the water at some of the mom and pop stores, you're going to pay a lot more for those experiences. So shop around, see what's there, and enjoy. It is a really good time. It picks up. I think it's seasonal on how many people are there, but it does a good job. They've got a new Starbucks, by the way, that has outdoor seating. It's one of the only places in Miami for a Starbucks that has outdoor seating. So plenty to do over there. Hey, Mary again. How's it going to work with band multi-plug adapters if you go overseas? So I think I don't think that those are necessarily not permitted. And I've got some in my bag. I'm tempted to pull one out just to show you all what I'm talking about. I think if it is just a adapter in that sense, you're not extending the outlet. I think that's the key to it. You're not taking one outlet and turning it into two plugs. What you're doing is taking that one and getting your one to work inside of it. So I think you should be fine there. Good news is most cruise ships are always designed for European plugs, so the two-prong, as well as the US. So if you go on a ship, American-based ship at least, MSC is probably included in this, and I gotta think others may be, but I'm not sure about P&O or Meravalia, not Meravalia, it's TUI and some others that are out there. I don't know if they have American plugs or not because they're not American companies. So I would love to find that out one day, or if somebody on here knows, that would be really cool to find out. I would love to go on the Empress of the Seas again. That's one that I tried to make work. I mentioned at the beginning of this call, I'm going to go to India. Starting on Friday, I'm flying out to India, Nepal. And Empress of the Seas is based in India now. She's sailing from just south of Mumbai, going out to the islands there and then coming back. And I would love to see what this company has done with the ship. It is a true Indian ship at this point, but it's still the Empress of the Seas. Love the layout, love the design, and would love to see her new homes and new digs. And I would just love to make a walking tour to show you all what she looks like. Now, that's on my bucket list. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but hopefully I will make it over there. So Mary, I think you're good for an adapter, if you will, because you're only taking one plug and adapting it to one. You're not taking one outlet and putting multiple things on there that may overload it and then cause it to catch fire. Fire in cruise ships, not great. That is everybody's worst nightmare. MSC just reported a fire, by the way. I think it was a small fire in their generator room towards the back of the ship. And I don't even know what ship it was on, but it was put under control. But fire is always going to be the enemy of cruise ships. Nothing is more terrifying on a ship than a fire. So if you ever get to see the little, the Blue Boys and the different fire brigade, if they're testing that out on the ship, go and watch them. I mean, it's just neat to see them in action. They get suited up. They have the hoses going. It's neat to see them change gears very quickly to serve a new role to be able to save the ship. What is my opinion of the new tax in Mexico? You know, this is a great question, Kevin, and I forgot to mention this, but it makes sense. I totally get it. So the Bahamas has been raising our taxes year over year, and they continue to go up. Mexico has been seeing the Bahamas, who is also a very big carrier or very big port for cruise lines, raising it, getting all this money. Not only that, but the countries are also seeing these cruise lines make money hand over fist right now. For you, those of you that follow the financials of the cruise industry, they're off the charts. They are doing exceptionally well right now. And, you know, the countries are saying we want a cut of it. I think that is just the nature of the beast. I think it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be an issue. It will be interesting to see if it brings cruise prices down any to accommodate for that, because cruise prices have skyrocketed in the last year or two. They've really, really gone up. And I think this is going to be insult to injury if you're like me and you're kind of getting priced out. Remember, this is why I started going on MSC, because I didn't want to pay all these prices when there was a cheaper cruise line out there. So it'll be very interesting to see how this impacts, if at all, the cruise ports of Mexico. I don't think people are going to change their mind on going to Mexico. I think the ports there are still excellent, but it's $42 per port is my understanding. So if you are doing a Costa Maya and a Cozumel, you're going to pay that twice. And granted, I'm sure they're already charging something now, so you're not going to feel a full $42 charge per port, because I'm sure there's something that's probably already there in place now, but it'll be really, really interesting. Great question, Kevin. Maria, welcome. 2055, that would be an awesome group cruise, I think, to take us all on Empress of the Seas out of India. That would be super cool, because I know that there's more of you all out there that also love Empress of the Seas and would probably join me on that. And that way we could, hang out with each other, because I've never been on a cruise line that is a different culture carrier, meaning it's Spanish, it's Indian flagged, and the people that are on there are going to be nationals and locals to those countries. So it would be a very different experience for me. But I would certainly welcome it. I would gladly do it. And hey, Maria, once again, good evening. Hey, Brian, taking some friends on their first cruise as a group cruise to Bermuda. Any tips or things to do as a group? I'm used to going solo. So good luck, first of all. I think the switch from going as a solo cruiser to going with a group is a lot. So first of all, everybody loves Bermuda that goes to Bermuda. So definitely get a tour of Bermuda, hang out there for a little while. And that, I would say, get group consensus on what you want to do. And I think that it's also good to set the expectation with groups, if you're going with people, on, hey, what kind of cruise is this going to be? Is this going to be relaxing? Is it going to be going to the ports and doing excursions? Is it going to be drinking a lot? Is it going to be the nightlife? What is the vibe that you're trying to go for on this sailing? And, I'm used to weekends, so they come with a certain stereotype, if you will. So if you're doing a 7-night, that might be a different story. But I would have that conversation. And I think it's always good to say, are we doing shows together? Are we doing happy hours together? Are we eating together? Just to make sure everybody's on the same page. But more importantly, if you do decide that you want to do those things as a group, it's also good to kind of say, hey, are we going to be looking down on you if you don't show up to these things? Is the expectation you have to be at every single thing that we're all gathering for? Or can you pick and choose? I personally gravitate towards, hey, we're all adults. Like, we may be going as a group, but at the end of the day, you're an adult. You know what you like, how you enjoy things. If you want to come and hang out, that is great. We're going to be here. Here's kind of that agenda or items that we're going to be doing. Come and go as you want to. That's how I try to do the groups that I do. They're very casual. I do send out a list kind of the week before on, here's what we're going to do. We're going to see these shows. We're going to do these things. But then I always say, look, it's always up for discussion. When that day comes, we might wind up doing something different. So you got to bob and weave based on the vibe of the group, what everybody wants to do, and hear that feedback. I think the other thing I mentioned early on, do a WhatsApp group chat. That way, if the plans change, if people do something different, if somebody's like, hey, what are we doing? Where's everybody at? You can rally the troops around the group chat. So I think that is a really good tool and has been extremely useful, even for pre-planning. I don't think you have to wait till you get on the ship to start the group chat. You can do it, a few weeks, few months in advance to start building camaraderie amongst your group. I don't even know if your group knows each other or not, but I think that would be a really nice touch if they don't, to start building those relationships so you don't all show up and feel like you're strangers, but you've got more interaction that has happened amongst folks. And granted, texting is not for everybody. Group texting, even more so, is not for everybody. I know our group chats for the cruises that we do get a little unwieldy sometimes. I have mine on mute. And I tell people, I'm always glad to teach you how to mute your WhatsApp so that you don't get notifications for every single message. You can just go in there and respond to them when you have the time or when you feel like it. So I hope those are some decent suggestions, Brian. You can always do competitions. There's different things that you can do. But I'm one who just likes to take it easy, but set those expectations up front on what you're really looking for so that you don't get there and have a poor experience. Hey, Maria, trying MSC in January for the first time out of Miami. Which ship are you doing? You're already status match from Royal Caribbean. Fantastic on doing the match. I don't know how long they're going to do it for. They've been doing it for a year or two now, and I keep thinking they're going to stop because their program has grown exponentially. They added a new level to it, the Diamond or the Blue Diamond, to help out with there, because you can only match up to the Diamond, but it's a lot of free stuff, and I actually really enjoy their free stuff. So kudos on you, Maria, for going and matching. So what I'll say for MSC, especially from somebody who's coming from Royal Caribbean, go with an open mind. Go with an open mind. We have heard, being on Royal Caribbean, and I was there. I was loyal to Royal. I didn't go anywhere else. And I heard the stories on Carnival, on MSC, on all the other cruise lines. And everybody puts Royal Caribbean on this massive pedestal on how great it is. And if you go on another cruise line, it's going to be a bad experience. And that is just not the case. So go with an open mind. Things will be different. Keep that in mind. But that isn't bad. It means you got to figure it out. You've got to guess. You're going to have a different experience. I appreciate that. I really enjoy their shows, and their specialty restaurants are really great. If you're going on the MSC Divina, you've got two different options that you can go on for specialty. Butcher's Block is going to be the best of the two that they've got there. And they've got a sushi restaurant. Their sushi is actually pretty good too. And it's a la carte, so you don't have to pay as much as you would think. But the Divina is a wonderful ship, a little bit more old school cruising with darker colors. But it's really good. Try the Vinci chocolate, the Vinci ice cream, and enjoy yourself, Maria. But go with an open mind and see what you think. Try the food. Try the buffet. I have surprisingly always been pleasantly surprised by the buffet on MSC. They offer tons of options, more European sometimes, but that's fine by me. It's not hamburgers and hot dogs, which is what I don't want to see on the buffet. And I feel like I'm getting that more and more on Royal Caribbean these days. "47 more days." I love the countdown. The panoramic suite is an amazing one. I think that is always a beautiful suite. If you are good not having the balcony, which I'm personally not, I love seeing the views. It is a really, really good room. I've enjoyed it. It's larger. So have an awesome time there. And then Odyssey. Oh, I've not made it to Odyssey yet, Kevin. I've got to get over there. I did have it booked, and then for whatever reason, this was post-COVID, I had to cancel the 6th night that I had booked on her, and I'm still a little upset by that because I haven't had a chance to go back yet. The Quantum group cruise that we're going to be doing is actually going to be my second Quantum class ship. I've done the Anthem out of Bayonne, and this will be my second one because they've all been over on the West Coast, and I like to hang out in South Florida and wait for ships to come to me versus me flying all the way to them. So I am giving up, and at this point I'm flying to get on another Quantum class ship. Hey there, JC. Welcome back. You're on Seascape this Saturday to the Western Caribbean. Got your free balcony upgrade and Easy Plus. It sounds like you are already off to a great start. So Maria, what he's talking about there is sometimes they just randomly upgrade your room, especially if you book the Bella package or Bella experience. So think of Bella as their, how do I describe it? As their basic economy. It's a guaranteed room essentially, but you don't get to pick your room. You don't get to pick your dining time. You just get to show up and say, hey, here's your cabin. In a lot of cases recently, and this is what I think from the video I put out there, I asked this to the crowd. I think what's happening is they are selling on MSC their cheaper interior cabins at a much better rate than they are their balcony rooms. And so instead of saying like, oh, we just don't have any more interior and they're not selling out their balcony, what they're doing is they're taking people like JC Spotter here and moving them up to a balcony room or even to an ocean view room. Though I haven't heard of anybody getting an ocean view. I've heard of people only getting balconies so that they free up their interior room so they can sell more cabins easier. So I don't know if that's what it is or not. Their loyalty program does say that the Diamond and Blue Diamond also are eligible for upgrades, though with the upgrade system, MSC, just like Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, and others, you can bid to get an upgrade. But there's oftentimes people that don't pay anything. You just show up and you get upgraded. I'm super excited. It's happened to me once so far in all my cruises with MSC, but I'm hoping it's going to happen a few more times. So Hanging with the Hordes is doing the Sun Princess in 24 days. That would put you doing, that is not a Christmas sailing. You're missing that. But is that a New Year's Eve? That would put you at 35 days. Yeah, so that's not even a New Year's thing. You're missing all the fun. I'm sure that the price point, though, on going just after New Year's is 10 times better than what a New Year's cruise will be. My brother constantly wants to go on a cruise for Christmas and New Year's or Thanksgiving. And I'm like, Have you seen the prices for those? I mean, they are 10 times the amount. When I've done my Christmas sailings, and they've been the long ones on Celebrity, we book them as soon as they come out to get the absolute cheapest rate. Even then, you're paying a premium. There's a lot of people that want to do this last minute within 6 months. It's either going to be sold out or it's going to be at a really high price point. So I think that is a solid strategy, is going that following week in January when a lot of people probably aren't on vacation. So when you think about trying to find good deals on a cruise ship, think about, is there times when a lot of people are traveling? So think Thanksgiving, think Christmas, think the New Year, and try to cruise just around those. So 1st of December, second week of December, I've always said has amazing deals because everybody just went to grandma's on Thanksgiving and they're getting ready to go to the other grandma's for Christmas. They don't want to go anywhere in between. They've got plenty of other trips going on. So I recommend checking that out. But I think the same for, the first and probably second week of January. You just got done traveling for Christmas and New Year's. Most people aren't going to go on vacation the second or third week of January. So you might be able to find some additional good deals there. So well done. Gold is, one of their lower tiers on MSC, and I don't say lower to be poor, but it's one of their first ones there. So it might not be that. Their benefit definitely only starts at Diamond. I think it's probably just the Bella experience. They needed a cabin to sell. I'm also 2 for 2. How are you 2 for 2? And I'm not even 2 for 2 on getting those upgrades, JC. I'm at 1 for 15, I think, is what I've managed so far. But in my defense, I am paying hardly anything to go on these. I've booked my MSC ships always for around $350 with $50 of onboard credit because I do it in advance. So, I hope if I was their revenue department or whoever was making this decision, I would absolutely factor in who paid the most for the interior cabin. Let's move them out of the interior cabin and then resell their room versus little old Brandon who paid, probably like the bottom 10% of the population to get on board. And he, gets the upgrade. Like that doesn't, I would want to reward people that paid more. And so we'll see. Perfect. You know each other. You won't get into each other's nerves. You still might want to be like, okay, nobody talk to each other for a week when we come back. Because even some of my best friends, Brian, love them dearly. But after a trip, I need a little bit of space. Like drop me off and don't talk to me for a few days because it is a lot of quality time, especially if you wind up sharing cabins with people. You get to know people really, really well. And it is different when you're 24/7 versus just hanging out every now and again. But I think that is going to be awesome. For Daniel here, what is my next cruise? So my next cruise, Daniel, I am done for the year. So that's why I wanted to make sure I got this live stream going because I've not been on ships. I canceled last weekend and I don't have another one until January 10th is when I am back. So I don't get back from India and Nepal. I'm gone the next 3 weeks, 3 weekends. I'll get back on January 7th, January 6th. So I'll miss that one. So I'll come back in on Monday. And then I will get on the Silhouette on that Friday. The Silhouette's going to be doing weekends or is doing weekends out of Port Everglades. So I'm going to head up to Fort Lauderdale. And, we'll see. For my schedule next year, I might actually be pulling back a little bit. So I'm trying. Granted, you all have heard me say this. I feel like a broken record sometimes. I'm trying to balance the life that I want on cruise ships with the life that I want in Miami. And it's really tough because I want to be in both places a lot. And you can't be in both places a lot, is what I'm learning. But I've got to find the right balance. For those of you that follow astrology, and I certainly don't, but I am a Libra through and through when it comes to, I need balance in my life. I need to know that I can do this, but I'm also doing this. And they've got to find a way to equal each other out. And right now, I'm on cruises a lot, which I love. But I've got more friends in cruise ships or on cruise ships than I do in Miami. And I need to change that if I'm going to be sticking around in Miami a little bit more. So we'll see. I've still got most of the year booked for cruises. So I've got to decide whose deposits are refundable, number one. And then which ones do I feel like I've been on and I've done it. I've got a lot of Silhouette booked for next year. And so those are where I'm pulling from because I've done it. But I've also got a lot of random ships. I'm bouncing around a lot. So I want to do more full ship tours that I haven't done in 2-3 years at this point. So more to come, Daniel. But yeah, I'll be back on January 10th is when I'll start back out. See, well done. I mean, if you look around, there are deals. I shouldn't say deals. It can be cheaper than what it has been. It's still not going to be as cheap as, years gone by, but you still can find better deals that, you don't go, oh, that's not horrible. Like I can make that work. I'm so glad you were able to get one of those good deals that are out there. Maria, I love your little icon here. They look like little fishies. Solo to solo, it is the way to go. I love my solo cruises. Every now and again, I'll bring a friend, and it's been fine. But it is a different way of cruising that I got to consider what somebody else wants to do when they want to eat, when they want to go to the gym or not go to the gym or see a show. And when you go by yourself, you just get so independent and used to doing your own thing that it can be difficult to integrate somebody back into that routine, especially if you might have things that you don't enjoy or don't have similarities to. It can get on the difficult side. Hey, Tea Time, happy holidays to you as well, and good evening. 1 month until Wonder. That is awesome. Cruise in December. How's the water temperature in Coco Cay in January? It's chilly. I'm going to be honest with you. It's chilly. January, February, and March are the only times that I would recommend somebody get a day pass to Hideaway Beach. That is the adults only section and has a heated pool in it. Coco Cay Beach Club also has a heated pool, but Hideaway Beach is normally a lot more reasonably priced. But in the winter, their heated pool is going to come in exceptionally handy. Oasis Lagoon is going to be cold, and the water is probably going to be chilly too. You will certainly see people in it. Make no mistake. I mean, cold water, it's still, you've come down from the Northeast, from Canada, from wherever. It might not be that cold to you. You might still be able to enjoy it. But we get cold fronts down here. When was it? 2 weeks ago, Miami was probably around the lows of 55, 60. We got that cold front that came down and gave it to everybody. And so you got to get the same temperatures over in Bahamas, because keep in mind, they're only 80 miles from South Florida. So as we are 76 degrees right now, that can change. If one of those troughs come down, it can be very chilly. So this time of year, I traditionally do take a hoodie or something that I can cover up in if it is chilly, because I still want to get off the boat. I still want to go and read by the water, something like that, but it can get chilly. I know. She went up to New York. One of these days, so I get to go to New York in the summer a lot. I keep hoping that New York will get a weekend cruise, and I know that they're not going to do it. I got Anthem on a lucky 4-night. I think the only 4-night she has ever done, to Bermuda and back. And if they did that on Odyssey, I would be there in a heartbeat. I need to look at that and see. I've not paid as much attention to the 2026 deployment schedule just yet. I need to dive into that a little bit more to see what I want to book. Though I've already got how many? So 2026, I've already got 15 cruises booked, all refundable deposits on MSC at an average total cruise fare of $426. I'll get $50 of onboard credit. I can't beat that for just me in a room on a really great ship. The Seaside, the C class for MSC is one of my favorite classes. Super excited by that. So when I saw they were running this sale, I was like, I kind of got to book these. And so I sent a note to my travel agent. I said, book me 15 cruises. So here we are. I think I've already booked one that overlaps somewhere. Oh, I have. I haven't added it to this spreadsheet. I need to do that. But luckily, you all watch out for me at this point, and I highly appreciate that. So on April 17th, I think it is, the Celebrity Apex in Miami, Port Everglades. Where is it, Miami? I'll have to go back and look. I think it's Port Everglades. The Apex is going to be doing a weekend. So I need to add that to my spreadsheet. And you all know, everybody's like, oh, Brandon, have you done the Edge class? Have you seen how beautiful those ships are? Apparently, they're life-changing once you get on them. But this is my first opportunity I will get at going on a weekend on an Edge class ship. So I am super excited. Prices are a little bit higher on this. Anytime you find a cruise, and Oasis of the Seas just did a weekend randomly when it did its crossing from Europe, you will find those sailings are more expensive because they know people like myself see it as a really good opportunity to go and check out that ship that they may not have been on, and they know it will sell out quick. So if you are interested in that, check out April 2026 for the Apex. I'm super excited about it. Ralph, I'm making sure that I answered all of your question. I thought to. I think I did. I may have gone off on a tangent. I apologize if I missed things. Hey there, Sherry. Have I done the yacht club? Also, gold is just below diamond. I'm going to say, thank you for the correction there. I have not done the yacht club. I've looked at it a few times. Interestingly enough, the yacht club has interior cabin, so you don't even have to have it be that expensive of a time to get the dining room, to get the ship within a ship, your own pool. They're going to have all that in an interior cabin. It is not like Royal Caribbean or Celebrity where you have a suite, neighborhood, or section. It is literally its own section of the ship, and that includes interior cabins. So the bid up program that they do, I think when I've followed it a few times, I could take my interior cabin and for another $400, $600, I can have the yacht club experience. And I just haven't bit the bullet because I'm still on the ship. Like, that's the important part to me, Sherry, is just get me on the ship. I'm going to enjoy it. But I would love to do the yacht club. I keep begging on here, MSC, powers that be, if you are watching this channel, which I don't know that you do, I'd love to get into your yacht club just to see it from time to time, or let me stay in my own little interior room, but just give my key card access, the ability to go in there so I can try the food and see your pool. That's all I want to do. I don't need the chauffeur and the butler and all that good stuff that comes with it, but it is a very good experience. Plenty of opportunities to meet people. I mean, if anything, Brian, when you cruise solo, you will meet more people than when you cruise with a group of people. Because when you cruise with a group, you don't intend to be insular, but you're going to form a clique. You're going to have people to keep you company. You're going to have people that you can talk to. Rarely are you going to leave that group and turn to the person beside of you to start having a conversation and bring them into the chat and get something going. When you're cruising solo, it's a lot easier to strike up conversations where you can build a relationship, get to know somebody, and continue that going on. And groups, again, don't mean to. Even if I travel with one other person, it changes the number of people that I meet when I'm on a ship. It's crazy how that works. If nothing else, you all have told me, oh, you were sitting with somebody, so I didn't want to come and disturb you. So if nothing else, I know you all avoid me when I'm with people too. So I need to cruise more solo so I can meet you more. Oh yeah, if you're coming down, Ralph, from anywhere in the Northeast, especially on a ship, you're going to have 2 to 3 days of rough weather and cold weather. I sometimes think it's worth just fly on down to Miami and get on a ship down here, get out of that cold weather as much as you can, because you can't predict when a cold front's going to come through, unfortunately. But when they do, we definitely know it. To get a more guaranteed balcony is to book last minute. Interesting. I book well in advance, so that definitely checks. The one that I did get the upgrade on actually I think I booked it like 4 or 5 months out. Not last minute per se, but I think that might be, maybe it's last in, first up. I don't know. Maybe it's I'm thinking of accounting rules here, but we can all ponder. I just want to figure out how I can make it happen for me more. But waiting until the last minute doesn't always give me a great price on MSC. Sometimes I look at it and it does, but for the most part, booking in advance is where I find most of the advantage. My understanding, Shane, of the new $42 tax per port is that it is per port. So if you go to Costa Maya, you go to Cozumel, you're going to pay it twice. So it's going to be interesting to see how this lays out in the scheme of things. So when we have the cruise fare, luckily we see it all as one number right now. But we see the cruise fare, taxes, and port fees all lumped together. So when you're shopping around, you're going to be able to easily compare apples to apples when it comes to cruise fares. What do you want to pay? I don't know if the cruise lines are going to reduce their cruise fare. I think if anything, they're quite pleased with how they're selling out at the rates they are now. And at the end of the day, an extra, let's say $42 per person, if you're going with a family of 4, it adds up quick. So we'll see if they make any modifications here. I don't think that they will, though. I think the cruise lines are enjoying their profits right now and having a good old time. And I think that the countries have seen these profits and are going, gosh, I want a little bit of that. I want in on the action. So, and the cruise terminals or ports they demand a lot of those areas. So I I don't think that there's going to be a way out of that. I think the cruise fares are just going to wind up going up because of it. And we're going to keep paying it. That is the downside to this. Cruising, I think, is more popular today than it has ever been. And it is also more expensive today than it has ever been. So until there is a substantial amount of people that say, you know what, that's a lot of money for a cruise ship. I think I'm just going to go to the all-inclusive, or I'm going to go do a land trip. I don't think we're going to see these come down because people are throwing money hand over fist at the cruise lines. Even when we think about the family suites and the royal suites and the owner and grand suites, they are going for crazy amounts of money on some of these sailings for $20,000 and $50,000, if not $120,000 for the family suite sometimes. So I think that some of us are just gonna have to bite the bullet there. I hate it for us, Shane. JC Spotter, MSC doesn't jack their prices up at the last minute cruises. Now they probably still have some availability to it. MSC, I think, is still getting their footing. If you're looking for a royal or celebrity ship, they're going to be full. They definitely fill up well in advance, and that's why they skyrocket theirs. MSC, the ships have been full, they tell me when I'm on them, but I always feel like there's a little bit of extra capacity on them. But that could be just them again. They are a private company, by the way. So when we think about MSC, and I talk about how cruise lines are making money hand over fist, those are your publicly traded companies that tell us their financials. MSC, on the other hand, is a private company. Like, no idea how much money they make, how much money they don't make. What I've been saying for a few years is their prices reflect their desire to crack into and get right the America's market. They are trying their best to take market share away from the existing cruise lines that we have today. And I'm here for it. I love competition, especially in a capitalistic society. We're going to hopefully keep overall prices down because we have other options that we can go on and keep those in check. But MSC, at the end of the day, I don't know if they're losing money on these things or not, just to make that happen, if this is their loss leader. But when they bring World America over here, they're going to really up the capacity that they need to be filling on their cruise ships. So I'm hopeful that this price point will stay pretty low. I know the World America, because of its newness and popularity, they're doing a really good job with the marketing on World America right now. Not as good as Icon. I mean, people still go, Brandon, you're on the new ship, the Icon? And I'm like, pretty sure Utopia is the new ship, but okay. But that's all, cruise line marketing. They are amazing at their marketing. So we'll see how MSC goes and if they're going to be stepping up or not. But very curious. Yeah, sorry about that tea time. I wish I had better advice, but the water down here can be chilly at times, and I just don't want you to show up and have a surprise. Yacht Club for a week. I'm assuming if this is Western Carib, that's a week. 3,400 per person. That's not bad at all for the experience that you're going to get there. That's a really good deal. What I will say, I haven't done Yacht Club, would love to, but everybody that does it says that it is cheaper than Royal Caribbean, who's also known for their suites, and you get more out of your suite. You get a nicer suite, you get more amenities than what you're going to find on Royal Caribbean. So I think that is a fantastic price. Just to book on a normal balcony on that one, it's probably 20 or 2,000, 2,300. So not bad at all. Hey, Duck Cruiser. Why I've never gone on a Carnival 3-day. So Duck Cruiser, that may be happening. The reason I've never gone, I'll go back in history. I was loyal to Royal for a while. And when I was pricing out Carnival, people would always say that Carnival cruises were cheap. When I priced them out, it was always the same as the Royal Caribbean ships that I was going on. And so I just wound up booking the Royal Caribbean ships because that was what I was comfortable with. That's what I was used to. I've definitely ventured out more these days. And I'm looking at my spreadsheet here because I think that I am I've got it booked. So I've got one booked on the Conquest later this year. I posted the funny meme on my Instagram account, sitting on the welcome desk they have at the airport, and said, coming in 2025. And so I have it booked. I'm supposed to be there. We will see how it goes. I'm excited. I love going on new ships at this point. That's something that's a lot of fun for me, to keep it fresh, to see a different experience. It's nothing against Carnival. I think, and I talked about this earlier a little bit, when I was so loyal to Royal, we had put Royal Caribbean on this massive pedestal on how amazing they were, and every other cruise line is inferior. And I have tried a couple more cruise lines now, and they're not inferior. They're actually quite a good experience. So I'm looking forward to it. I will be on the Conquest, or at least I've got the Conquest booked, later in 2025. So we'll see how it goes. But prices, normally the main thing that's come into it, Duck Cruiser, is I look at it, it's been the same thing as Royal Caribbean. And so I just booked what I've been comfortable with. And I have more of now I'll get into the business side of it. So there's a personal side of it, which is what I just talked about. The business side of it, with having a YouTube channel, I've really made a niche in Royal Caribbean, because that used to be all that I had. There was nothing else that I talked about. To now Royal, Celebrity, MSC, Virgin. Those are kind of the ones that I talk about the most. And there are plenty of vloggers when it comes to Carnival. Carnival has a very robust online following of people making content and talking about it. And so it's a competitive space. That's one reason why I've not gone there. Granted, I love my YouTube channel because I take my own perspective, my own thoughts, my own way of communicating, which nobody else can do. And it is a different way of presenting information and education. So I'm going to go and give it a try and see. It's kind of my test cruise with Carnival to see if it resonates. There's probably a good number of people on here, and I saw this on the Instagram account, that are not a fan of me going on Carnival because they hold it in a different regard or a different light and think that it's not as good of an experience. And so I'm going to go with an open mind. I don't know what to expect because I don't research cruises. I kind of just show up. And so I found one, I booked it. More to come, Duck Cruiser, on where that's going to go. And, I'll be interested to see how the content does on YouTube. So I'm already thinking like Brandon does Carnival, because I've never done it. I say that. My first cruise I ever did was on the Carnival Fantasy back in 2009 was the first cruise I ever did. And I've not done Carnival since then. It took me probably a year and a half to do another one, and then it was Royal Caribbean, and I stuck with them. So more to come, but great question. I'll get there. I would love to do NCL too, by the way. NCO used to have the Norwegian Sky doing weekends, the 3-4 run, and they've pulled it. It only does it like every now and again. And so I'm trying to make the NCL ships work on my schedule as well so I can get over there. And I can't seem to figure it out. Like the times that they offer it, I'm either already booked on something or have something going on. So I haven't made that work just yet. Yeah, keep checking the prices, Scott. I think that's fair for any cruise line these days, is go through, check them. I've got to where I definitely check them before final payment. So if I'm getting ready to make another payment, I want to make sure that it hasn't come down. And that's when I found that I can lock in. But you will find that they come down every now and again. But good to know. My ones that I booked for an average of like $400, I don't normally monitor those because I feel really good about the price already. If it comes down, I can't imagine that it's going to come down enough to make it worth my effort to try to get that fixed. MSC, and I don't know how this works with the Yacht Club, I also booked the Bell Experience. And one thing the Bell Experience does not come with is a price adjustment or a change. So if you want to book or price match on MSC, and this is good to know, I learned this the not hard way, but I had to sit on hold to learn it through the call center, is you've got to cancel your current cruise and then rebook into the same cruise at the lower rate. Problem with this is that you've got cancellation fees of like $100, $150 on your existing one. So if it's not changed by more than $100, $150, it doesn't make sense to reprice it. So when you book MSC, I really try to book it right from the correctly to start with a price that I'm good with. And that way, if it fluctuates some, you don't have to worry with it. Yacht Club may be different than that Bell Experience. We're talking about two ends of their experience section. I'm doing like the guaranteed cabin where, I just get to step on foot and I get no benefits whatsoever, versus Yacht Club, where they're throwing everything at you, all the benefits, including the kitchen sink. Oh, my nose is itching tonight. They did delay it. They pushed it out to July, was it? So that's not going to be happening. It will still be happening, but I think now they're going to give the cruise lines a little bit more time to figure out how they're going to be implementing it. Because you got to think, as quick as they were doing it, there are people that had already paid and booked the cruise that now they were going to have to go back and say, you need to pay $42 per person per, again, or more to make it on this cruise. I don't see the cruise lines wanting to eat that. So I think that pushing this off will allow them to get it in their systems so that we're paying that on their behalf versus them having to eat it at this point. Good to know on the Fantastic. I don't know if I've put that together or not. If you only have the Bella option, it means that all the interiors are sold out. That's something I'll have to pay more attention to, JC Spotter, as I go through and book more MSC throughout the years. Sophia Loren's suite was sold out. I don't know this one, Ralph. What suite is this? Hey, Matt. Good to see you again, sir. Have I heard anything on Explore after the incident they had last month? I have not. I've not heard anything from that. I don't think that it was. I think the biggest news from this is, keep me honest here in the comments. I'll scroll down so I can see him. The Explorer is the one that hit the pier in San Juan, I think is what happened. So I've not heard anything from the ship per se, but the pier is still under construction in San Juan, and it's caused a lot of people to get rescheduled ports and honestly go to places that they didn't really want to be going. So that's the biggest impact that I've heard, if I'm thinking of the right situation there. But it was great seeing you, you too, on Oasis of the Seas as well. It is the same builder, same floor plan, same model. It's, the way that I like to describe the way the cruise industry seems to be going is it's kind of like airlines. And I find a lot of similarities between airlines and the cruise industry, is that all airlines, they fly about the same products, right? So if you fly a lot, you know the difference between an Airbus 320, a 321, maybe you're doing a 747, 757, 777, which doesn't fly anymore. But it's not one airline that flies the Airbus 321s. There's multiple companies that do that. We're starting to see that more in the cruise industry. You've only got so many people that build airplanes. You've only got so many people that build cruise ships, especially of this size and this scale. And so I think we're going to see more cruise lines, fleets looking similar as things continue. I think MSC is one of the first ones to flat out do it. And I don't consider them to be copying MSC. I think there's probably a contingent of folks that say that they are copying MSC or copying Royal Caribbean's Oasis class. And I don't think it's necessarily that. I think that, this is why I keep saying I'm looking forward to the experience on World America with MSC, because they're going to put their own touches on it. An MSC ship, for those of you that have done MSC versus Royal versus Celebrity versus Virgin or whoever, has its very unique style and sense to it. So you get on board an MSC ship and you are on board an MSC ship. There's no doubt it's an MSC ship. And so I'm curious to see how they're going to pull that off on this one. And I've already seen some of the interior of it, how they're doing it through other YouTube videos. But I think that that's going to be the key difference between it. So I am certainly looking forward to getting Honor. And you're going to be there as well. The May 5th sailing, May 3rd sailing, you mean? Are you coming with us, Scott? Or are you going to be 2 days late? You sound like me now. I always get the days wrong. $3,400 for the two of you. So all in for Yacht Club for a week-long cruise. That is incredible. Hands down. Royal Caribbean these days, you're looking at much more than that for even a comparable kind of suite. Scott, on the same page. Yep. It will be the same. I think we're all looking forward to it, checking it out. I didn't catch that. I don't know their suites as well. So I am learning them though, but they definitely got some good ones to go around. Boardwalk Balcony, I actually got on World America. They're doing a good job for us solo cruises as well. They're trying to do us a solid, and they've got solo balconies. And so I am booked in a solo balcony on World America. Actually, I say that. I did the Ocean View Studio. I got cheap. Shocker, I know. But I didn't do the balcony. I did the just let me be able to peer out the window at it. Like, that's fine. Just to see what it's like. And I got that for $1,300, which includes the Wi-Fi, because I booked it before I actually had the Wi-Fi. So I might want to see if I can reprice this. And I got the drink package, the easy package that comes with it, mainly so that I could get coffees and espressos throughout the entire week. That was my only logic, is I needed an internet device and I wanted coffee. And I think it was like $200 extra maybe to get that. But to buy the internet was going to cost me 125 some dollars. And then if I actually bought coffees, that was going to cost me too. So I chose not to do that. See, I'm not a plane person, Scott. As much as I fly, and I've flown significantly, I'm not good at being able to be like, look out the window and be like, oh, that's whatever flying by. Because I'll tell you, I've got a window over here that looks at the flight path for Miami International. I see all the international planes coming and going. And my friends love to come over and be like, oh, because the wingtips are like this and it's got this many engines to it. It's got to be a name that airplane. I am not good at that. I'm good at looking at Seat Guru and figuring out where I need to sit or trying to figure that out. But that's about it. I think A320 is the one I'm most familiar with, and 321. But outside of it, I don't know it. And good to know the 777 is still around. I don't know what the cause of here. I assume so. Scott's referencing the way that the cruise ship is designed. And granted, ships in general, I read this somewhere along the way, but you've got ocean liner cruise ships and you've got just normal cruise ships. Most of us are going to be used to the normal cruise ships, and they've got, a decent bow to it. But if you are an ocean liner, so think like Cunard, and I think the Queen Mary probably plays into this, that are constantly making the crossings, it's an ocean liner. And so it's got more of a, I don't know if you can see my hands, if this makes any sense, but it's got more of a point to it to be able to break through the waves. But you're right. I've noticed this on a few of the newer ships that it's almost a little bit of a snub nose, it looks like. I'm sure that there is some kind of a technology or scientific advancement on the way that it can build to make it withstand more or make it a better guest experience, but I haven't actually heard what that is. You know what? I should interview a shipbuilder one of these days. That would be super, super cool. If I could, does anybody have a contact to a shipbuilder? Let me know in the comments. I'll reach out to them and see if we can, I'd love to learn more about this. I've got questions. One of my bucket list items would be to go view a cruise ship as it's being built, which, by the way, MSC World America did this for other YouTubers, and I did not get an invite. I'm kind of sad about that. And they got to see it being built, a dream of mine. And then I want to go cruise on it after it's built so that I can say that I saw this when it was, just in the making, when it was in the incubation period. I think that would just be, for whatever reason, a really cool experience to see how it's made and then see the final product of it. I know the shipbuilders must be extremely excited if they ever get to go on the cruises. Good to know. I'm giving away my colors here. I've been a Delta person for a while now. Actually, I was a JetBlue person when I was in Boston. Then I switched to Delta. Now I think I'm just flying whoever, because Delta's another one of those that their prices have gotten a little bit high these days. And I'm in Miami, so American's kind of the easy one. But I took Frontier last time for the first time. I flew to Atlanta for a 2-day trip for $88 return or round trip. My plane ticket was $44 each way. I still got from point A to point B. I got to read my Kindle. It was great. I had a really good time. So I would recommend that experience. I know they are not the best for on-time performance. They've got some downfalls, but for my one time that I've taken them, I had a really good experience. Perfect, Scott. We will see you there then. MSC is a good ship. I really do like it. The only thing that I'll complain about MSC Divina, and this is all MSC ships, is the lounge chairs. So if you're doing a 10-day trip, you're going to have a sea day where you're going to be outside sitting in a lounge chair, enjoying the pool. There are lounge chairs on MSC. Like, I don't know who designed those things, but they are the worst part of MSC. Like, I wish they would do a fleet-wide removal and replacement of all of their lounge chairs to something that just sits better. I mean, they're not comfortable in the slightest. 747. Maybe I was getting them confused. I don't know. Yeah, I'm more of a cruise ship person. I can tell you which one of those have been scrapped. In the subject of the shipbuilding, have you heard RCL wants to bring back the smaller ships? Let's talk about this. They're calling it the Discovery class. So Royal Caribbean started floating out, gosh, it's probably been a year ago now, that, and I say they started floating it, I think it was a captain on one of the ships, and one of the captain's corners started talking about this, and it very quickly took off in the intrawebs of this Discovery class. So what they mean by this is they want to build a smaller ship that will help them as they need to replace their aging fleet. Think Grandeur of the Seas, think Brilliance, Serenade, Enchantment of the Seas. Ships that are definitely coming up to their end of life. They're going to have to go somewhere at some point, or it's just going to cost so much money to maintain them and keep them running that it's not going to be worth it. The bigger, newer ships are more cost efficient. They're making a lot more money on the new, bigger ships than they are the old ships as well. And so they want to find a way to balance that. Discovery class, there for a while, Kevin, I said they're not doing it. There's no way that they're going to build a smaller ship. That is not the MO of Royal Caribbean. They are a big ship company at this point. Every ship, for the most part, that they've made has been a bigger ship. The exception of that was they decided to build the Quantum class, and they were like, oh, it's going to be a smaller ship. Yeah, it was slightly smaller than the Oasis class. It's still a large ship at the end of the day. And so I don't see how the Discovery class fits within the Royal Caribbean business model at this point, other than to replace the older ships. With that being said, I have talked with people, I live in Miami, so I know some folks that work over there that referenced this and said, no, we're actually really researching it. I don't know if it's going to have legs. I don't know if it's going to make it there. But what I can definitely confirm is that they're researching it. They're trying to determine, is that a good way forward for Royal Caribbean or not? So more to come on that if that does wind up being a thing. And when we say it's going to be a smaller ship, Discovery class lets me think that it's going to get into smaller ports. But are we talking exotic ports where barely a sailboat gets in there? Or are we talking ports like Key West that still take decent sized ships, just not an Oasis class ship? So anytime I talk to Royal Caribbean about a smaller ship, I'm just always a little apprehensive because their definition of small and my definition of small, I think, are two different things. When I think of small, I'm thinking Serenade, Voyager, Brilliance, Grandeur. I'm thinking that level. Their version of small these days, I worry, is going to be more Voyager and Freedom class than it's going to be anything else. So we will see. Best case scenario, I mean, we're coming up on 2025 right now. They've not announced anything. They've not signed any contracts with builders. They've not done anything other than research the viability of it. And so this will not happen until 2030, 2032. At the absolute earliest, will we see a Discovery class ship hit the open water. So it's going to be a ways out there. Hopefully we're all around to see it, but it's going to be at least 5 to 10 years before that happens. Personal opinion, could be totally wrong. I'll be the first one to celebrate it if they do. Scott, look for Josh. 2,300 for solo. Did you get the balcony, Scott? I think you said you did, which would not be a bad price for a balcony. Depends on how close you booked to it as well. When I booked it, the prices hadn't quite going up. I think a lot of people through their marketing and through social media have caught on that MSC World America is coming, and they're making a bigger deal out of it. So I think the prices have trended up. Hey, Christine. Looking to book Quantum for a 4-day after the November group cruise. Why don't you come with us, Christine? Come on the group cruise. Then stick around for the 4-day. Make it a 7. Junior suite is $4,500 more than a balcony. Do you think Sky Class is worth it other than extra square feet? How many people are there? I mean, If there's multiple people and it's all in $450, maybe. Coastal Kitchen, you'd probably get into Coastal Kitchen. I'm trying to remember. I've not done a junior suite on a place where they had the sky amenities, so I'm not as familiar with that. I've done it more on like Freedom and Navigator, the smaller ships where we don't have the Sky class and Star class. So I'm kind of coming up at a loss on this one, but junior suite is nice. If you have multiple people in the room, the space will be really, really nice. If you have 3 or 4 people, I would definitely do it for $450 because that's not much per person. It's going to come with a coffee maker, but the Sky Suites, the Sky package doesn't come with that much that I'm currently thinking of. Up to you. I mean, it's a larger balcony room. If you look at it from that perspective, it's up to you. But I would do it if I had more people. If I was just 2 people, probably not. Or if by myself, where it would be $850, that'd be a hard pass. So $1,500 for the inaugural. That's awesome to hear, Ralph. That means for the May 3rd saying they should still be pretty cheap if you guys want to go out there and check it out. I'm always worried with inaugurals to start with, which is why we're about 3 deep, because I'm always scared that they're going to cancel them. Sometimes ships get delayed. It's been known to happen. It hasn't happened a lot recently. They've done a really good job of bringing them out on time, but it has happened in the past. Well, hey, Katie, I thought you weren't going to make it. Good to see you. Things are good here. They're good. I'm off ships for right now, so I'm glad I can come on and chat with you all. That is correct, Maria. May 3rd is the 7-day for a group. So I normally don't do 7 days. This will actually be my first 7-day cruise in like a year and a half. So I'm super excited about it. And I've got a lot of you all already scheduled to come and join. So Maria, would love to have you come on this sailing. And it's 7 nights. Seems like it's still a good price on a brand new ship. So you can't beat those things. And if you haven't explored MSC, it's great to be able to do that with other people to see what it's going to be like. Sam, you have to let me know what the Ascent's like. I did book her for the weekend. I think I mentioned this earlier. In 2026, I'm going to make it onto an Edge class ship for Celebrity. So super excited, but let me know what you think, what I can expect, because I pull from you all's information on how great these things go as well. It could be, but I mean, if you think of the new locks in the Panama Canal, they can hold those big old NG tankers. I went down there when I was blocked out of the ships. I was still traveling, and so I went and spent 2 weeks in Panama City right after they opened up. And so I did like a little dinghy boat ride in the canal, and I got to see these massive NG tankers. And they're probably the same size as Quantum class, if I had to guess, just from visualizing. And visual on a ship probably isn't the best thing, but they can handle some pretty decent sized ships these days. It's definitely not the sizes that it used to be. I don't know if Oasis can go through the locks. I don't think that I've ever seen an Oasis class ship or a Quantum class ship do a crossing like that. Interesting. Let me know in the comments if you guys know if they can fit or not. I'd be curious. Not bad at all then, Scott. Well done. Yay, Christina. Glad that you are making it with us. If you're there for 2 of them, I would say for the junior suite, try to get where you don't have to change cabins, especially if it's a 3-night and then a 4-night. That's going to be the thing that I think will make my decision, actually, is if you can have the same room back to back, that's going to be ideal for having to go through those procedures. Royal Caribbean does make it super easy to change rooms, though. If you pack everything up, and they'll take your hangers, so you don't have to take the hanging stuff out of your closet. You'll have to pack your bags, put those to the side. They'll take them to your room, so by the time you get back on the ship, your room will be all set up and ready to go. So that might be my decision maker. Or if you just want to have one really nice sailing in the junior suite and then go down, that might be tough. I might start with having a balcony room and then go up for the 4-night. I think that might be the better strategy if you're going to do that. I like brainstorming here and spending other people's money. How was Voyager? I'm excited to be going on it coming up. I've got Voyager in just 2 months, February 13th. That's going to be my Valentine's Day cruise. Well, hey, Ted. I've not seen you in a bit. Welcome. Hope you have been doing good. And then Ralph, did you book the 2-day seaside or sea view for one time in November 25th? Did I book this? I'm not following the question, Ralph. Did you book the seaside or sea view for one time in November? Not for this coming year. Are you talking about for this past November? I was on the seashore on the 21st of this year is where I was. And I did the seashore once before in June and the seaside earlier in the year. So I kind of bounced around a little bit. Thanks, Jusha. Is that the right? Jusha? Is that how you say that? Thank you for confirming that. Oasis cannot fit. I wasn't thinking it had. Didn't think I'd ever seen that sold where you could do a crossing. So if we ever wanted to bring one of those ships around, they're either going all the way south through over South America or coming up through Africa or going up through Europe and the Mediterranean and that whole area. Interesting. How they move ships around of that size blows my mind. Maybe why they all stay kind of close by. Hey, Java Moon. So you all saw the hookup video that I made. It did really well. I mean, clearly it was a topic that people were curious on, but I very quickly in that video said, hey, I'm not going to approach it the way you may be thinking I'm going to approach this video. I'm not going to tell you, all of my stories from cruising. There's not that many to go around anyway. But I said, this is not going to be story time with Brandon. And it had a ring to it, didn't it? Like it was catchy. It was funny. And so I've got 2 videos that came out. The Amazing Story Time or Amazing Memories is Story Time with Brandon. It's me actually reminiscing and telling you all stories about how they've gone. So if you've not checked that video out yet, make sure you check out some of my amazing memories. Like it's heartfelt, it's genuine. I think back on, I've done 157 cruises now. I made this at 150. I've got some really awesome stories and memories that I can share and that I can think back on that keep me going and keep me happy because I've had all these tremendous experiences on cruise ships. The one video that's going to be coming out on Sunday is going to be the opposite of that. And so you all know that I think I was talking about this, I'm a Libra. I like balance. And so I didn't want to make a video where I talked only about how amazing being on cruise ships all the time was because there's an element that's not always amazing. If you leave your house, you're going to experience the world. And there's a lot of things that happen in this world, good, bad. And I've seen a few traumatic things and been involved in a few situations that will forever be with me that were not good experiences. And so I wanted to also share those. Some of it starts out kind of humorous, if you will, just on the situations, but there's still things that I don't want to say scarred me per se, but they definitely got ingrained in my memory. And so I wanted to chat through those. And as it goes on, it's actually a long video. I apologize. It's 22 minutes outside of my normal, but story time with Brandon takes time. And so, watch that video. I will say as they go on, they get progressively worse on things that happened. The last story still is really tough for me to talk about. And I didn't know that I would ever be able to do a segment or video on it. And so I did mention it in here. And I would like to go deeper in it at some point, but I can't talk about it. It's that traumatic for me. But I try to do a good job in keeping it together in the video. And I don't always keep my composure. I try. But if I talk about my father or this event, it is what it is. It's going to happen. So do check that video out. Give it some love. But I start that video out with, hey, it's story time with Brandon. I'm going into details. And so if you don't want to hear some of these traumatic, disturbing, disgusting details that I'm going to be giving, please give that video a pass. I do not mind that whatsoever. I just don't want you to get into it and be like, I didn't want to hear that. So grain of salt, see it if you want to. We'll see how that video does. This is also one of those experiences where I posted amazing videos or a good video, and now I'm going to post a bad video. Which one do you think is going to get more views? Any video that I make that is bad, and I think I've made 2 or 3. I've not made many that are something bad or a room that I wouldn't book. That's the thing I do the most, it seems. I've done 2 of those. This will be the first time that I've kind of come out and said, hey, this is genuinely bad things that have happened. I bet that it will do tremendously better than the amazing stories video. People don't want to hear all the great stories, but the bad ones, they will watch it 3 times over. So we'll see how that goes. Well done. I used to I would sit down with my spreadsheet back in the day, Shane, and I would go through and try to make me money. I would just reprice out everything and find them. I'd sit down and I'd reprice 40 cruises and see if I could, save $20 here, $30 there. It adds up when you got a lot of these. So well done. Duck Duck Cruiser. You've been on the Ascent, and it was one of our favorite ships. I keep hearing this about the Edge class ships, which is why I'm so desperate to get on there, because everybody seems to really love the Edge class ships, the Beyond, the Apex, the Ascent, all of these. So I'm super excited to see what all it has to offer, especially now the Pinnacle members have Zenith benefits over on Celebrity. That makes my life a lot easier by getting the Wi-Fi, getting a drink package, all these nice things that I was having to pay for before. So I'm super excited by that. 175,000 gross tons is not a small ship. So that's good to know that she can make it through there. Oasis class is coming in at around 225. So that's massive. 175 is going to be closer on point with Quantum class ships. So they can probably make it. Discovery class, to Kevin's point, if that's the goal, I mean, again, our definitions of small, it's very relative right now until they give us something. I still remember them telling me Quantum was going to be smaller. Quantum will be a smaller ship. And it was smaller than Oasis, but she is not small in any size of the imagination. Have a blast, Java Moon. That is awesome. Enjoy the NCL Escape. Did you get a solo room? Or one of those? I think the Escape has a few of them. I do not know of a two-day cruise in 2025. I will check it out, though. I don't have it even. Did it come out recently? I don't even have it on my radar for cruises I need to watch. I will take a look at that. It may be because it's over Thanksgiving. If it's Thanksgiving, Ralph, that's a blackout period for me, and I can't make it then because I'm with family. Eating turkey. Can I get a sneak peek? Interestingly enough, can I do that? I got some contacts over at the Port Miami that might do that. I would love to go in there. I mean, I've sailed past it. It's coming along beautifully. That place is massive. I also know some people that have had the opportunity to tour it. And what I'm told is it's going to feel a lot more like the airport versus a cruise port. It's also going to have the ability to be shared by cruise lines. So you'll be able to have 3 different cruise lines checking in people from the same terminal, which is going to be kind of crazy. It's also going to create a lot of walking for anybody who has mobility issues. I don't know if they're putting in, what are the electric moving walkways, kind of like a flat escalator in there, but it is really long. It's like 3 ships worth long. And so I don't know how they're going to handle that, but I'm very curious to see how they're going to do it. It's supposed to be beautiful. The one that they're saying is going to be even nicer, though, is Terminal G. So if you all have sailed on Royal Caribbean or Celebrity out of Miami, out of years gone by, chances are you've gone out of Terminal G. Me and my friends affectionately call it the tent because it's the one that looks like it's a circus with the tents that you walk into. It's not like an actual proper building. It looks like tents. And so they're going to be tearing that down. I imagine once the winter season is over and the ships go back to Europe or they go back to the Northeast, they're going to tear down Terminal G and rebuild it. And that's supposed to be absolutely stellar. So that's the one that I'm hearing more people talk about from an architecture perspective and what it's going to look and feel like versus Terminal AAA, which is going to feel more like an airport. As long as it gets the job done quick, efficiently, and easily, and gets me on the ship within a few moments, I'm going to be fine with however it shapes up. But I'm very curious to see if they have 3 ships over there, they're going to be turning, 20 to 25, 27,000 people a day is what they have the capacity to do. And that just kind of blows my mind. Ooh, Casino Scoop, best hotel to stay at. I would say depends on your budget. First of all, we've got some amazing hotels in Miami. If you want to spend $1,000 a night, we got you. What I traditionally recommend is close to me and close to the cruise port, which I think is where most people want to be, is the Holiday Inn. It is an older property from the outside, but the inside rooms, I have not seen them, but I've had friends that have stayed there say that it's really nice. You can also look at the Yotel, which is directly behind my building. That is going to be a cheaper option. It is more of a contemporary one room kind of situation. One room meaning you've got your bed, your sink, your hanging stuff is all out and exposed, and the only privacy you have is for the bathroom or for the toilet, I should say. So those are the big ones. I've got friends that like staying at the DoubleTree up on Biscayne, which is just north of here. My personal favorite hotel, though, is the W Hotel. I think that is just a beautiful hotel here. I have not stayed there on my own dime. Work put me up there for a conference before I lived here. So that would be my suggestion. If you want to be over on the beach, I don't know those hotels. On the beach, I would say look for something boutique-y. You don't need anything special because you're on the beach. And even the boutique hotels over there with their, 1950s and 60s pop art kind of feel to them, or mid-century modern, are just really neat to stay at. So hope that helps, Casino Scoop. Finding Miriam. Always right after me. We got to get on the same program. Like, I'll share my spreadsheet if you share your spreadsheet. We'll make it work. You are just missing me by like a few sailings. We'll make it work one of these days, Finding Miriam. There'll be plenty of time. Hey, Duke. Any recommendations of what to do in Tortola? I've not been to Tortola. Let me even see how many times have I been to Tortola? It's not been many at all. One of the disadvantages of being a weekend cruiser is, guess the ports that I normally go to. I go to Bahamas. I go to Nassau and a private island. Key West will get thrown in there every now and again. I've done a lot of the other ones back when I used to do more 7 days, but I just checked my list and I've actually never been to Tortola. So, I mean, the beach there is supposed to be gorgeous. So I would say snorkeling, beach time, maybe a day pass somewhere, but I don't know Tortola. And I've shockingly not been to Tortola. I'm kind of surprised by that. I'm looking at my spreadsheet thinking that maybe I didn't log it, but no, I just think I've not been there yet. Sorry about that, Duke. That's fascinating. I guess that's why we don't see a lot of movement like that. I don't know if Royals ever brought an Oasis class. I don't think they have an Oasis class on. Well, they do I take that back. They do, because they have one that does Alaska and it'll take it over to Australia in the winter season. So they do have one over there, but the Quantum class is normally the go-to. See, this is why I love MSC. A 2-day cruise for $179. Okay. Like, most people can figure that out, That is a really, really good deal. It'd be my luck. It's November 7th or 2nd. Let me see if that is midweek or if that is a holiday. That is going to be midweek. That's going to be the problem we're going to run into there for me. So depending on where it's going, I might be able to pull that off. I'll check that out. I'm going to put that on here for me to research. So thank you for the heads up, Ruff. I love that you all give me all these insider tips on where I should be cruising to, where the deals are, where the weekends that I'm not expecting. This is super nice for me. And I don't have a cruise booked just yet for that period of time. Awesome. Nope, nothing booked. Let me Seascape. You should. I mean, the group, luckily, I talk about this in the amazing videos we were just talking about, Miriam, but I am so fortunate that every group cruise we've done, and we've done 3 or 4 of them now, is such an excellent group of people. My biggest concern with a group, and I can't do anything about this, is that it'll become cliquey, that you'll see different factions of people hanging out. And, for the most part, there's always a few one-offs here and there, but for the most part, I feel like the group has always been extremely welcoming of new people. And, we've got a good contingent of recurring folks that come back. And it's always a mix and mingle. And I don't mean to brag on ourselves, but we're a super fun group. Like, It's laid back, it's easy, it's my style of cruising. So that you all know that that's just me. It's nothing that's overly planned. It's, a little bit of a schedule, but hey, let's do what we're going to have the most fun at. So you should definitely try to join us, Miriam. For those of you who want to join us on a group cruise, make sure you're signing up for the group cruise newsletter in the description below if you've not already done so. That way you can stay up to date on where all we are going. Glad you enjoyed it. She is very small. So, I've been doing a lot of Oasis class ships, and I got a video coming out on my recent experience on Oasis class. I'm getting used to Oasis class, and I hate to say that. And I think it's more just that's my life. If I want to go on a weekend cruise to Royal Caribbean right now, I have to go on an Oasis class. It's either Utopia or it's Allure. Those are my options. And so going back, I've not done a small ship with Royal Caribbean in ages at this point. So I'm really curious to see how I'm going to respond. I'm probably just going to ooh and on, fall in love with it once again. But I think it'll be a good one. Beyond. Everybody's going on Edge classes. Edge class for the win in this live stream. Everybody seems to be getting their turn on there, and I will get mine, but I got to wait a year and a half still. We'll make it happen. You sailed on the Edge class, and that was the Apex. You loved it. Good to hear. Spent too much time on the magic carpet. I think that's probably going to be my favorite go-to place, Sam, if I had to guess. It just looks super relaxing, easygoing, kind of away from it, if I had to guess. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. I do have... Did I book the Infinity? I think I booked a solo Infinity Veranda for that one. I'll have to check it. So I've heard the same thing, mixed on people liking the Veranda or not. So we'll have to see. There's been a lot of videos on that. It's, talk about a divisive topic. The Indy to Labadee. That is a really good cruise. Was that a 4-night that you did, David, or was that one longer? I think Indy's doing longer sailings now. I've not been to Labadee in ages. Our group cruise was supposed to go, but because of the conflict in Haiti, this was during when Royal canceled everything, and I did not get to go. I actually, and this probably surprises a lot of people, I like Labadee better than I like Coco Cay these days. I said it. I said what I said. Because there's something about an untouched beach where I walk out and it is a beach with beautiful water and just chairs to sit on. And there's something about the natural element that I really gravitate towards, the peacefulness, the serenity of it. Whereas when I go to Coco Cay, I can't describe it as peaceful and serene. It is still beautiful in its own right, but it is a very different experience. Still fun, but my personal preference, Labadee, Ocean Key, MSC's private island, places like that. I'm trying to think of where the Hampton Inn is. That must be over in Brickell. We've got a Courtyard as well that I think a lot of people stay at. That's a good price, but it is an older hotel. I don't know how the rooms are on the inside. Has it always been Quantum, Adam? And I referenced you earlier. This is the tech guy I was referencing earlier, for those of you that have been on the live stream for a while. Hey, Dino. Welcome from cold Nashville. Hopefully not raining there. I know a lot of people are getting rain today, so hopefully you're staying dry. Just have to wear a little bit of a jacket. Yeah, the Seascape will probably, normally when cruise ships relocate from Galveston over to Miami, they don't have passengers. They give the crew like 3 or 4 days off while they make that voyage. They run the ship, they have a great time, they do all crew parties. But for whatever reason, they've never done a repositioning cruise that I'm aware of, at least, because I've looked at a few of them. I've even looked at a few where the ship comes from like Port Everglades, it leaves there and comes down to Miami. And I'm always like, why can't I just do that? And they don't do that. They'll have a night where they don't have guests on, and then they'll bring it down to the port afterwards. It does weekends, but it's not doing them right now, I don't think. It's coming, or it's going to be starting soon, unless I'm mistaken. It might have started and I just forgot. But it does do weekends as well. Liberty just needs some love. I mean, even for a bigger ship, she needs a little bit of love still. So I probably, if it was between Liberty and Allure, I'm definitely going to go with an Oasis class ship at this point. I hate to say it, I have no desire to go back on Liberty at this point until she gets a proper dry dock and they give her some love. So being docked next to the icon of the seas, Katie, is definitely like being beside of a tugboat, especially being on the ship that you were on, the Voyager. That is a super small ship compared to that. Remember, we used to have the Empress of the Seas beside of Oasis class, but this definitely is a very similar comparison to that as well. That makes for really good pictures, if nothing else, just so the contrast in the size of ships. It's a changing world. I think most of them are trying to go to these bigger ships because they are more efficient and help them make more money. So I think that's what's driving a lot of things. And honestly, a lot of us cruisers want the bigger, nicer ships. There's so much to do. They don't feel like they get bored. I think it's really the way of the future. And I hope that this doesn't happen, but I think that ultra luxury and luxury vessels are also the way of the future. So if you want a small ship experience like I like, and I'm talking 2,000 and under guests, you're going to have to go on a luxury experience. There's not going to be a lot of the premium market left that's going to be doing that. So we'll see how everything plays out. But I definitely want more smaller ships out there just to give us some options. I've not done the Equinox yet. I don't think I've done one of its sister ships. I've not done the Equinox, but that gives you a good indication of what Celebrity is like, David. And so I think that if you like those, and from our conversations, you definitely have, I think you would fall in love with one of the Edge class ships. So definitely check out the weekend in April of the next year. That might wind up being a non-group group cruise as well in 2026, just because I think a lot of it's already going. So I'm not too far behind. So it's interesting. The dry dock that she's supposed to get in 2026, Adam, I also don't think is going to be one where we see a lot of the dry dock work. I think it's going to be more of the general maintenance and safety to make sure that she stays floating and that she keeps on going. But we'll see how much money she can put. If everything in the financials keep going well, they'll probably keep adding to it. But they've got a lot of new ships coming out too that they got to finance. Yeah, it's okay. I look, I've never, Daniel, met a ship that I did not like. I have always liked my ships. I've always had a good time, but I definitely can recognize which ones have the newer paint and which ones don't. But it doesn't impact my experience. I still enjoy it. Please do, Katie. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but that's a great place to send me a quick picture if you got it. All right, looks like I'm all caught up on comments. We've been going for almost 2 hours now. So I'm going to do last call for any questions, anything you all want to talk about. And if not, I will call it a night. But I want to give you one last opportunity to ask that question you've been holding out on. Seeing none, I think. Let me come over here, just make sure I'm not missing it. Nope, no questions, but I see Maria telling me to have an amazing evening. That I will certainly do, Maria. You do the same. I hope everyone does have a happy and healthy new year. You have a great holiday season. I will be traveling starting Friday. So I'm going to be out of pocket for 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. So my responsiveness on YouTube stuff is probably going to be low. I've got some videos queued up, so I'm still going to keep you all entertained, though I don't think I'll have anything for Christmas because when the holidays come, I feel like everybody's doing family time and not watching videos. So I'll probably hold some content. But more to come. I'll still reply to comments as I can. So, but I'm going to be around. Follow me on Instagram. I will post in the stories on Instagram a few places that I go, especially if I find something cute that's boat related. You know, I'm a sucker for a river cruise or something like that. And I am going to be sailing down the river Ganges for one. So that I'll probably definitely be posting to Instagram. So if you want to check out what my overnight accommodations are doing the Ganges, that's a great place to follow me and find out. All right, everyone. Christine, I'll answer your question real quick and then we'll call it a day. We don't necessarily do a meet and greet beforehand because everybody comes in at different times. What we do though is we'll have a meet and greet as soon as we get on the ship. So like 4 p.m., the boarding day, we'll all get together, go to happy hour, and then go to dinner. We do start a group chat on WhatsApp that will get going. And so as much as we don't do a physical meet and greet, we will still be chatting and getting to know each other and talking about our plans and what we want to do, and just learning each other's personalities via text in the group chat environment. Good question. All right, everyone. This is Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser. Hope to see you on a Weekend Cruise soon.